So let's get started replacing this window regulator. First step, we're going to remove this door panel. It's been a while since I've had one of these off, but we'll take the door panel off and there'll be another panel behind it that will have to be removed. But anyways, you're going to use a clip tool or a pick or something. You're going to have a cover right behind your handle here you want to remove, and then a cover right here, and we'll get a close-up shot of those real quick for you. So you can kind of see this cover right here. If I can get in here without messing y'all up too much, we're going to pop it off, and you're going to have a screw there. Then if you look right here behind the door handle, you'll have another little cover. Pop it off, move it out of the way, and we're going to have a screw there. It looks like they're going to be Torx bits, and we may have another one under our switch right here. And we will be using a T20 to remove these screws. There's two. So we're going to want to remove our little plastic trim piece right here. Get our clip tool. You want a non-marring clip tool to do this, and it should pop off. Just like that. And on the top one right here, our metal clip did stay in the door, so we'll get some pliers, pull it out, and put it back on here. It should look like this bottom one right here. So just pull it out of your panel and push it back on there. Now we're going to give it the pull test on this door panel and see if we can get it off. Make sure we didn't miss any other bolts anywhere. Might have, but a non-marring clip tool is going to be your best bet to get behind this panel, and I like to start in the bottom corners. I feel like you get more leverage there. And also, if you do happen to mar your panel up a little bit, it's not going to be something you notice every single day when you get in your vehicle. So we'll see if we can get this back behind it. And on these Mopars, sometimes these clips are pretty stout. It's got these, you're gonna have the little weird brown ones. We got this bottom corner right here started where we can get our hands back there. These bad boys are pretty stout, so we'll use our knee just to keep the door from trying to shut on us. And then we'll just go around and pop this panel loose. So this side feels good. This side over here still got a pretty good bit of tension. There she goes. So I believe it's going to be all of them. I think on these door panels we're going to have to lift it up. Yep. And then on the back side we will have our cable for our door handle, and then we'll have some wires right here. And we've also got another loose random bolt down in there, so we'll see what that's about. See if I can get y'all a shot on this back side. Alright, so here's a shot on the back side. Looks like you're going to have a connector at the bottom, one here, and then one here. This is going to have tabs on them. Let's see if I can feel it and pull it. Yeah, so they'll have a tab. Feel for it or look for it. It'll push in, connector will come out. Now on your door handle cable here, you see these two tabs, you're going to squeeze them together and pull it back through the hole, and then you bring your cable over here and lift it up out of this loop right here. And I probably can't do this one-handed, so I'll have to set y'all down. Alright, so if I can do it one-handed, we've got our little tab out. Now you'll turn it, lift it up, and it'll come out of that slot if we can get it to zoom. So with all of our stuff loosened, we can remove our door panel. So now would be a good time to go around and check all your spots with these little clips and make sure none of them stay in the door. These are pretty stout clips, so sometimes this side will stay in the door and you'll have to take a pry tool, a clip tool, pop it out the door, and they just slide back into the door panel right there. Now I did notice a bolt when I was taking this door panel off right here, and from the looks of it, it almost looks like it's not installed because it's still got the thread lock on it, but it does go right here to hold the regulator on the back side of this panel. Now this is the panel we're going to have to take off. We'll probably have to take out this plug cover. It should just pull back and hang like that, and then we may have to take the speaker out. And what we're going to look for is letting this window down. There should be some tabs that lock it in to take it loose from the regulator. Just so maybe y'all get a better understanding, here is your regulator. So it's going to sit in there, I guess, like this. And if you'll look right here, doing this other side, your window is going to have a hole in it, and it's going to sandwich in between these two plastic pieces right here, and this little tab you see is going to snap down into that hole. So we're going to have to line the window up to where we can get something back here and pry this plastic part back far enough to get it out of the hole and lift the glass out of it. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll try to explain it maybe a little bit better once the glass is up. We're going to go ahead and remove the speaker. It should be 4 T20s holding it on, and we'll get it out of the way. That way we can get to our window to release it. With all that out of the way, we're going to let our window slide down far enough that we can get to our little doohickeys there. So without us being able to keep the regulator still, it wants to just freewheel up and down. We're going to have to get something to wedge in each one of these clips so we can pull the holes out at the same time. If your regulator, if you can put tension on it where you can put pressure up on the glass, you can push your little tab in right there and pull up on the glass and it'll pop out, but the regulator's moving with us, so it's not a possibility. Just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. There's your tab coming through the hole in your glass, so you want to push that tab out past the glass and then slide the glass out of the plastic clip. Alright, so with our plastic tabs done, we're going to pull our glass all the way up and then use some painter's tape to hold it in place while we finish this. You want to put your painter's tape in several different places so you're not relying on just one to hold it. And now we will get to a little bit more interesting part. We're going to have to remove this inner panel. It's going to be 10 bolts, 10 millimeters. But the first thing we're going to do is come over here and unplug our mirror. And it looks like it's going to be this little black plug. Push tab on the bottom. Just like all the other plugs, you have a tab you push in, and then we can set that out of our way. And what we're hoping is that we're going to have enough slack to pull this assembly out without having to take the whole harness loose and the door jam. May have to, may not, hopefully not. So now let's look at our striker. We want to undo our lock rod and our door handle rod. So if you look up into your hole, if I can get this thing, you're going to have that little yellow tab right there. See if I can get it to focus. And as you can see, it kind of clamps around that rod. So you'll take and pop it off, and then you can reach up in here. Then you can reach. So now we want to remove our striker bolts. These are going to be T30s. There's going to be 3 of them. Let's see if this will impact will do it. Yeah. Now with all that loose, we can go back to our panel. So getting ready to take our panel off, we're going to go around and take all of our 10mm bolts out. So with our bolts out, we're ready to try to remove this panel. Now your harness over here on the side is going to be holding you up. I'm hoping we can move it out enough, but we may not be able to with our latch assembly being right there. But either way, this panel, sometimes they gotta lift up just a little bit and then pull out, and sometimes they just pull straight out. So we'll just have to see what style this one is. A little bit of a pry. And what we're going to do, we're going to cheat. We're just going to try to get a little bit more slack in our harness, and we'll pull it out right there. And then you'll take a clip tool right here above the speaker, if this clip tool will do it, and we will pop. That clip tool's not going to be strong enough. Maybe, there we go. We'll pop that. That way we've got a little bit more slack, and we can actually, just so I can pull stuff further out of the way for y'all, we'll unhook all of our little connectors on this little module. So now we've got that much slack. I think we're gonna have to lift up, roll out, and then come over. We may not have enough slack on our harness. Let's see if we can roll it on down. No, she's still wanting to fight us. So we'll set this back, and then there's going to be 2 Torx bits on the inside over here that we'll take out to get us more slack. So when you follow this harness around, you'll see you've got a T20 Torx there, a T20 Torx there, and I don't think we've got any clips right through it. No, so we should be good. Now you can take your clip tool and put behind here and pop this clip out. Let's see if this one will do it. Like that. Come down here to the next one. Like that. And this is going to give you a lot more room to play with, so you don't have to worry about ripping your weather seal. So we'll take these 2 T20s out, and that'll give us more slack on our harness. If we have to, we'll disconnect it up here, but maybe we won't have to. Alright, so we'll see if that gives us enough slack. We'll pull out our harness right there. See if that's going to give us enough slack to work this panel out. And you just want to take your time with it. It is a little bit aggravating. And there you go. There is your panel and our broke regulator. So with our panel sitting on the floor, we've got slack on our harness. It ain't just got a ton of tension on it. We're going to remove this regulator. You should have 4, I believe they're going to be T30s maybe. You'll have one right here. You can see your regulator. Go down towards the bottom. You've got one there, one here, and you should have another one here, and that will let your regulator assembly come loose. Now next, we've got to worry about this motor, and I believe we're going to take out these 3. There's one there and there. And let me show you the regulator we're going back in with so you can kind of understand how this works. Here's the regulator we're going back in with. So you'll have a bolt there, 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 and there. Now this is going to be bolted on the back side of our panel we removed. You will have a zip tie or something holding this gear. You want to take that off last. You could probably go ahead and bolt these pieces up and then snip that off if you're scared. You just do not want this plastic wheel to come out and unravel. You'll have a huge mess. But this is where your 3 bolts are going into on the front side that we talked about removing. So we'll remove all these bolts and then we'll get ready to set this regulator in. So with all of our bolts out, we're going to try to just pop this regulator off. Now where the motor goes, we might have to pry a little bit. Be careful because your motor will try to fall out the front side. And set it down. And then we can take our regulator and pop it out of the way. Now it does have tabs that it clips into, so pay attention to that. So you can put it back in those, chunk it out of the way, and we'll get ready to set our new regulator in. Remember, these things have got little pins they go on. And I did put some blue Loctite back on my bolts because the top 2 bolts holding the regulator on were loose. We'll get that one started, and then we'll see if we can't line this motor up. And there we go. We've got her pushed together. Now we will take some of our motor bolts and run them back in. Alright, so the reason, I don't know if y'all can see this, but the reason we moved our regulator, try to move it up or down when our motor wouldn't go in, is the motor's got gears that line up. So when you move that regulator up, it turns that little spindle and allows us to line our gears up. So now we'll go through, make sure your regulator rods are in the tabs. We put blue Loctite on all of our bolts, and we're going to put our bolts back in. So for any of y'all that are confused when I'm talking about the tabs, right below where your bolt goes, there's a plastic tab on this panel and this alignment pin. You'll have one at the bottom too, and it'll be the same way on the other side. So we got everything bolted back up. I'm gonna come back later and double check my tightness with a ratchet instead of using a little electric impact. But now we are ready to set this panel back in. But one thing you want to pay attention to, like this lock rod, once you slide this panel back up in the door, it's gonna be very hard to slide this rod back up to where it goes. So whatever you need to do, tape those together, or just be conscious of this rod needing to be up, because if you put this panel in with it down, you'll either have to remove the panel or work your hand in there and take it loose here, turn it back right, and then put it back together. So now's the fun part, fighting this panel back in. Just try to go back in the way it came out. Remember our little rod right here, and also keep in mind our regulator bars have to go back up behind. Keep in mind this wire over here too, but we will slide our latch assembly in first with our rod up like it's supposed to be, and we will try to make sure that our regulator is going behind the panel. Make sure that wire is out of our way, and then we will try to just kind of wrangle it back into place. And you'll notice it will kind of sit it where it's supposed to go. There are some tabs here that hold it in place. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put 1 or 2 of our 10mm bolts back in to hold this panel, and then we are going to test and make sure we've done everything right and that this actuator or this regulator is working. Got 1 or 2 bolts holding our panel on. We're going to go ahead and see if we can plug our plug-ins right here back up, just because we want to make sure they're not going to prevent us from using our window regulator. And they pretty much only go one way, so just pay attention to that. That one clips in. Let's see, this black one looks like it's upside down, so just like that. That's how mine goes. Depending on your options, you'll have more or less plugs here. So now we are going to back up. We're going to grab our panel and we are going to plug our black and green connectors back up. Get your plugs right. We're going to hold our panel on our foot. We'll put our key in. Turn the ignition on, and then we're going to check to see if our regulator goes up and down. And it does, so that's great. We're doing good, doing good. It's best to figure out if you made a mistake now before you do all this other junk. So let's go ahead and undo these connectors, set this panel back out of the way, and we'll finish buttoning this up. Alright, so if I can get you another shot, don't forget your rod with the white clip on the back there for your lock. And the door handle rod you put in there, and you'll just swing this clip down and push it against the rod. So we can focus. Snaps like that, and she is good to go. So now we'll go back through. We're going to put all of our 10mm bolts back in. So with all of our bolts back in our panel now, we're going to slide our electrical panel right here back in. You'll notice it does have some tits, some guide tabs. If you line them up in the right place, they'll fall in place. Put your 2 T20s back in, and then your little clip on your weather seal, you just push it back in the hole and it'll be good to go. Once we get that done, we will put this harness back in its place. Got everything buttoned back up, got our harness ran back where it goes. Now we're going to hook our speaker back up. Now, do not forget there's a slot right here, and that is for your wire to go through so you do not pinch your wire. So we'll plug our speaker back in, and then we'll set it back in the hole. And while we're doing that, we'll make sure that our wire is going through that slot right there so it does not get pinched. So now on the other few important parts of this, we want to put our bolts back in our door latch. And you may have to reach your hand inside and kind of adjust the door latch to get it where it needs to be. I like to start all 3 of them and then come back and tighten them down. Now, the test you want to do, take your extension or whatever you got that'll fit right here, push it all the way in, and then kind of pull out, and then try to open your door with the door handle on the outside. If it opens, you did everything right, your rod's hooked up and you're good to go. If it doesn't, first make sure your door's not locked. Second, go inside and check your rods. You don't want to shut your door and to find out that you didn't hook your rod up right and that it won't open again. So we've almost got this project whooped. Now we're at the phase of setting the window back in. And if this worries you, you can actually do it before you put your speaker back in, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be fine. So we will remove our tape, throw it out of our way, and then you're just going to slowly let your window down, and it should go right in to your track, and you'll listen for it to snap in. So you have to give it a gentle push. I'll say a gentle push. There she goes. So if you're worried, you can pop your speaker back out. Probably should have left it out before now. So if you're worried, you can pop your speaker back out and then double check you're going in. But I believe we're there. We give it the tug test up and down. She's there. Now we can hook our panel back up to make sure we've got everything right. And what we'll do is, I feel like we're pretty good. We'll go ahead and put our little cover back in right here, and we'll get ready to put our panel back on for good. But we'll test it before we snap all those super strong clips in. So it's just reverse procedure. Don't forget, on mine I've got 3 electrical connectors. A little white one goes down here at the bottom. My green and my black go up here. And don't forget your cable. You'll slide it into that slot, put it into that slot, and then you'll push it back forward and it snaps in. Hopefully y'all can see that. Maybe. That's how that goes in. Then we'll just worry about our other 2 connectors. If I can feel without being in y'all's way. Yeah, there's that one. And we'll get this black one. And then we'll set our door back on. Remember, it might not actually have a lip, but we're going to set our lip down on here. Y'all see the door lock rod right here? Yeah. Make sure we line our door lock rod up with the hole in the panel. So we'll just stick one hand back here. Something like that. And then we'll look around to make sure our pins are lined up. But before we get too far, make sure your panel's not going to fall. We're going to put our key back in and make sure our window works. So let's make sure our window works. All the way up. All the way down. Just make sure all the functions work. I'm not sure if this is auto up or not. Now, and you will notice sometimes when you go to raise your window back up, when you go all the way up, it'll try to kick it back down. Just go all the way down with it. Hold it down for 1 second. And come all the way back up with it. And then hold it up for 1 second. And hopefully that'll have you fixed and ready to go. So with all that being said, we're going to go through and make sure all of our little tabs are lined up, all the little push pin clips, and then we'll snap this panel back on. And one thing I didn't show, I did go back and check our regulator bolts. They were pretty snug. It's something you might want to do. Now we got to put our 2 T20 bolts back in the door panel. You're going to have one right here and then one right behind the door handle. Don't forget about those. We'll try to start this by hand so we don't drop these way down in there. Just like that. Just like that. Then we'll pop our little covers back in. And then another thing we'll do is we'll shut this door. Probably should have done this to begin with. And we will test to make sure it works from the inside too. And it does, so we're good. Still got to pull our clip out up here to put it back in our plastic trim piece. That's pretty much it. Roll your window up, get you some good glass cleaner, clean it, and you should be done. Hopefully y'all found this useful. If you did, let me know. If you didn't, let me know. And as always, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe if you want to give me one. And any questions, put them in the comments. If you've got tips for other people, put them in the comments, and let's help some people out.